Hello, hello. It's a Manifestation Monday with the dudes. And by that, I mean all three of us. All right. I'm wearing suspenders. That's a kind of a male outfit to
It
wear.
is. They look like designed from a cab.
Yeah, I'll drive you guys around today. No,
Oh,
we can drive each
figuratively.
other around.
You're manifesting maximalism.
Ooh, I like to manifest all alliterations. Yeah, anytime. Okay. So today we are talking about the chapter 11 from Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. Two different
Mine's
covers.
online.
And
Can't do that.
this one is called Your Suit of Well-Being. What were you just showing us, Jay-Z?
Oh, these are the notes that I took of things that we might talk about. And I liked their term, suit of divine armor.
Oh, nice. What's your band called?
My band is called Divine Verdict. So maybe I'm just partial to the word divine.
Divine. You
You
like the
you
word
are
divine?
divine, honestly, if I had to
Well,
get.
I like Divine. She's dead now, but I like Divine.
Oh my God, divine. She was a maximalist.
Well, Waters is the maximalist.
Oh my God,
They were
John
like
Waters is
this.
the artist I identify with most of any, or maybe who's the guy who did the all the pinstripe cartoon guys? Tim Burton. Also Tim Burton.
Ah, I see Tim Burton.
Okay, so today we're talking about your suit of well-being. Why do you think she ch names the chapter that? The, what does that even mean?
Oh, well, I think it gets to the part where she's talking about that you really don't need to worry about anything because you are like enveloped in a suit of divine armor. If you choose to be so, and problems will just bounce off of you.
Hmm.
Like they won't be able to get at you. So, because let's talk about car accidents for a sec, because it seems like in the last chapter, she was kind of blaming someone for dying in a car accident, for having attracted such a bad negative energies by vibrate when, or she said when you, not necessarily about this person who died in the car accident, but in general, that vibrating negative emotions, you'll end up matching like negative emotions or actions of and that are the same frequency that someone who is going to attack you has, and it matches you up, and then you end up suffering the consequences.
Hmm. But you're saying if
Yeah.
there's a suit of divine armor, you kind of waylay all negative things. It's like if you were driving and somebody vibed you, you would be like, I'm divine, you can't vibe me bad. It's like in Magic the Gathering, there's all these spells, like counter spells. Like, I learned from that attack game, if somebody attacks you, I'm like, oh, well, my circle of protection blocked you. It's like pretty much this chapter is like circle of protection.
Yeah, it makes me think
Yeah.
of the thing in your brain, like where there are your nerves or something, I forget what it is, but that there are like senders and receptors, and they have to like match up, and if you're not the right fit, you're not gonna get received by the receptor, right? So maybe
Right.
there are people with bad vibes out there, but if you have a suit of divine armor, because you don't got those kind of receptors, you're like you're protecting yourself from getting matched up.
Well, that's
So
brilliant. You can say like I only have divinity receptors. Like I don't have meanness receptors. Like you just taught me that one, but that's a good one, man. I'm gonna use
that
that.
is a good one. It's like there's a neural pathway that's in the world, and you can't make it work if you don't want it. So you have this shield, and the shield it bounces off the shield. Classifier City.
Yeah, interesting.
She
So,
she, she is a little blamey,
yeah.
And there's the section about rape here, and I got a little upset about it
Yeah, yeah. I got in
because,
trouble for doing a rape reclamation once. It's hard to explain, but like I kind of yeah, like I think manifestation theory is about it's not about to me it's not about not getting raped ever. Like because it's like we can't control other people. Like if someone's going to rape us, they are going to rape us. Like I mean, like I disagree with her that like your bad vibes get you raped. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
think
that's,
you know,
yeah,
but
that,
I am about like not letting a rapist take your power. You know, like so like I'm gonna say something offensive, but I'm saying it with the best of intentions, right? Like so like if someone raped me, I'd be like, I fucking raped you, actually. Okay, I know that seems weird, but it's like that's me taking back my power and being like, no, you can't hurt me. That's what I feel like manifestation theory is all about, is like have your seat of divinity so if someone rapes you, you don't go down with that ship, you know.
right. And I believe that I believe is true. And I think she was implying that in the rape section that you can get through it. And with the manifestation theory, you could say, I am going to see my way through this, but you can't control all the elements of the rape. And her article or her paragraph looked a little bit like, so what were you wearing? Kind of a thing to me. And that it pissed me off. You can't do that. And I thought, well, here's a person of privilege who has never been raped and they have no idea what exactly is going on. And so as you can see, I got volatile about that. But I think you can control that. And they also said that she said that you bring that energy to you by thinking, oh, I don't want to be raped. I don't want to be raped. Well, I think there are a lot of women that got raped that had no idea that they could be raped. So it's not that they were putting that vibe out there. Putting that vibe out there is a little bit like saying, oh, they were wearing short dresses, weren't they? So I got a little upset about that.
And the way that I read it is not necessarily that she was still blaming you, to be to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
But what she was saying was maybe not so much that you were thinking about that one thing that was going to happen, and then of course it happened because you attracted it to you. But you were thinking vibrationally a certain frequency of bad things are going to happen. And then there was an attacker out there with the same frequency range of like bad things. And that's how they matched up. That was my reading of it. I'm not
I sort
excusing
of think that's what she means, yes. But I still feel like it's too blamey for me.
Well, it's like, okay, it is kind of victim blaming, especially her car accident example as well, as like, oh, if anything bad happens to you, you brought that on yourself. That is victim blaming, basically, which we don't do in a civilized society. When somebody gets victimized, we say, I'm so sorry that happened to you, you know, number one. Number two, I mean, it's like, I think. It's interesting because if we don't think I might get raped, can't protect ourselves from rape. Like if I'm walking through a dark alley and I'm thinking, oh, I might get raped, like I'm basically saying to myself, how can I avoid the possibility of rape? And like that's actually a protection mechanism, right? So I just I don't agree that we should never consider hard things happening because that's manifesting them. I think we should consider them to protect ourselves, but like I'm more the side of if someone does rape you, don't let it take you down. That's,
Yes.
you know,
Yes, I think that's ultimately what she was getting. She felt a little blamey to me. And I believe that this was not like that.
oh yeah, yeah, scripting life you want was not blamey.
No, it was not blamey, and it was more so the positive energy that this one. Yeah, I'm doing this because I have this book at my fingertips right now. But this one is about feeling positive in all things and sending that positivity out there. But that's right. As shown in this dramatic. But she talks about a lot of negative stuff for a person that's trying to put out positive energy. Spends a long time talking about negative stuff. And so I found that his way of looking at the world was a little bit more positive. I'm not saying that I got something out of this, out of the book,
Well, it's
but
like in Course in Miracles yesterday, we were talking about let a problem be identified so it can be solved. I feel like
yeah.
she's identifying problems that we might need to solve
Hmm.
manifestation here. And so, like, she's addressing that even if you're this Pollyanna manifester, there are still these social ills, and like, what do you do about that? And I think her larger lesson is like maintain a positive mental attitude through life. It's like if the economy's going down. I did like her example about that. It's like don't focus on that. Like that's
Yeah.
negative manifestation. It's like, oh no, the economy. It's like that's when you go to an abundance framework where you're like, I have the trees and I have the grass and I have the sun and I have $5 in my wallet. I have everything I could ever need. Like that's where you like flip it around and you refuse to be affected by the bad news. Like I
Yeah.
think
I
so.
like that, the economy part too. And I think that's applicable to us in our current situation of authoritarianism. Um, we can't think about that. We have to think about what we're going to do in the face of it. So I like that. And the economy is in the toilet, but um, we can't think about that either. So I like that. We have to think about how to get through.
Yeah, I love this line. She says, the steadfast determination to grow almost sideways out of, she's talking about these trees and how they had the steadfast determination to grow almost sideways out of raised earth or to survive the poorest of soil conditions. And it's like manifestors will grow out of the poorest conditions into a more like a turgid, beautiful plant, whereas like, and this happens in to some kids in really hard situations growing up, they grow forth like wild, strong trees. And then other people are affected by their upbringing. And like, I'm really interested in those people who grow heartily no matter what the conditions of soil they're growing in. And I think that's
Yeah.
what a manifestor looks like is somebody who refuses to be taken down.
Yeah. I knew a guy way back when who was a tailor in a department store that I worked. And he'd been in the camps and he had tattoos on his arm. And he was the happiest person in the store. I mean, he manifested that way. He was thrilled with everything, and anything that was extra that came his way, he was thrilled with it. He was thrilled to be there and doing the tailoring. He was just hemming people's pants, but he was so happy. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, God, I should be like that. So I have a bigger question. She's that that occurred to me while reading this. She's talking about all the ways that we go toward the negative, that we can get in a hole of the negative and not see the positive. And so I began to wonder why we do that. Because when we were cave people, we had to overcome saber-toothed tigers and cold and not enough food. And so we should have looked at the positive, for eons. Why is it that we look at the negative? Why is it that we use the mantra that my family had growing up, which is, oh, that'll never work? And there are not just my family that do that. There are a lot of people.
Daisy, do you want to answer?
Well, maybe it has something to do with what we were just talking about in Course in Miracles about problems, right? That like people love solving problems and people love drama and they love the arc of a storyline and a good story. And so after you had got away from that saber-toothed tiger just by the hair of your teeth, then like it was fun to sit around the fire spinning yarns about it, right? And so maybe that's part of it too, is like the ain't it awful that she kept referring to, like ain't
Ain't
it
it awful?
awful
Yeah.
commiseration that she's warning us to try to stay away from is you're right, it's somehow innate in human nature. But maybe it is. It comes from problem solving.
I feel like it's people who get stuck in the problem and not that like don't arrive at the solution. Like in a recovery program, them and they always talk about live in the solution, don't live in the problem. And it's like some people like they not either they like to live in the problem or they get stuck on a problem. Like there's been problems I haven't been able to solve for like 8 years as a teacher, like astrology and racism. It took me 8 years of thinking to figure out how to really attack that problem successfully, you know? And
Mhm.
it's like I don't know that I got stuck in the problem, but I definitely didn't have all the resources or knowledge or wisdom or maturity to really move through that problem. But I will say that once I move through a problem, I stay in the solution. Like if you have toenail fungus and you figure out this thing that works, every time you get toenail fungus for the rest of your life, just get that thing and just get rid of it. Like just like bam, live in the solution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could be that people are stuck on topics literally, or it could be that I mean, or maybe some people are addicted to drama, like that's how they get like a rush or something. I because you do get kind of like when you're in a problem. It's kind of like maybe the human likes the rush of that.
Well, yeah.
Well, I
We
wonder. Oh, go ahead.
we do. We like conflict. I mean, nobody wants to go to a movie where there's no conflict. You
Well,
just have people sitting around talking. It's going to be boring unless it's My Dinner with Andre.
Well, it makes me think of it's really interesting. Like when I think of some people in like certain oppressed groups that I've like lived in, like and I don't think any group has to be oppressed, but I think like marginalized groups. Like for example, let's say we look at queer culture or something like that. Like I was, you know, I was openly living in queer culture for like 15 straight years, right? And it was interesting to watch some people be stuck in the problem of being queer, and then some people joyously living their lives no matter what. Like
Hmm.
it's just like it's an interesting how there are people who kind of perseverate on the problem of being marginalized, and some people rise above it. And they're both valid ways of being. That's fine. Maybe they're different charts or something like that. But have you guys noticed that some people perseverate on oppression and some people just are like, yeah, whatever with that, you know?
I think, yes, I have noticed. I think that maybe the wound of whatever's going on is deep, and it's difficult for them to get past that and see themselves as something other than that category. You were never just queer to me. You were Andy, the interpreter, the astrologer, the writer, the lecturer, the something, and the queer was in there somewhere.
Yeah, you're not an oppressive person though. Like you would never oppress a person no matter what group they were. That's just not you, you know.
No,
Um,
not that to my knowledge.
but
Probably, yeah.
like yeah, I personally never felt oppressed as a queer. I did have to come out and it was awkward at certain times, like how to come out and stuff like that. I felt the awkwardness of that situation sometimes, but I didn't personally feel oppressed, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I mean, this is true of anything. Like you could say
yeah,
being a Democrat right now, you're in the marginalized group. Like it doesn't
yeah.
there's like a
That's
million groups that are like in the power structure. But some people
right.
like rise above and they're like, nope, no thanks on that. And some people are kind of like upset and like I don't know.
It's just a barrel of spineless weasels right now. I have an example. My grandmother, to get personal, my grandmother was the last of the kids born in her family, and there were four brothers. She was the only woman. The mother died in childbirth with her, and her father put her in an orphanage because he couldn't see how she could ever make money. Well, she was in contact with him, and she had an okay life in the orphanage, and she got married very young to my grandfather. And the rest of her life was pretty good, but she was completely colored by that experience.
She was
So of course,
completely what?
colored by that
Oh,
experience.
colored.
She could not ever let go of what had happened to her eons ago, and she lived her life as if she had to get back at everybody, and they were out to get her, and things were never fair. and it made her a horrible person to be around because she was as negative could be. And yet, if you look at the timeline of her life, this little section here was horrible, but this section was great. And she couldn't live in this section because she was stuck here. And I think that's what you're talking about, Andy, that people get stuck in their thing. They can't get out of
Okay, I'm gonna give you a band name.
it. That'll
Problem
be the first one
perseverator.
tonight.
Okay, problem perseverator.
But I do think that if for people that study like child development theory and stuff, that there really are formative years of your life that if those are problematic, like you don't get held enough, you don't get touched, you don't get valued, they wire your brain that way, and your mind is more likely to travel those pathways.
Sure. I see that. And of course, I understand that. And I see like any kid who survives Gaza right now will never be able to let go without a lot of work, even if they become famous and rich and safe. They're going to have nightmares about being bombed for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom was born in Poland, and she was a child during World War II when her country was invaded. And uh absolutely, like I she's really harsh. And
Yeah.
I completely understand why, you know? Like when she was 8 years old and she came to America on a boat, and and a guy gave her an orange, and she was floored that like she couldn't understand like that she was to have the whole orange all to herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like people have
Okay,
insane experiences.
so we're still answering the question about why some people get stuck in the negative, right? And it sounds like what you guys are saying is like even some people have certain formative experiences or family dynamics in their childhood that can affect how resilient they are to getting through problems.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is those things are etched deep,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and that might prevent them from manifesting the life they want. My grandmother kind of backed into it. Got married to escape orphanage, and then her life was pretty good. My grandfather, he was, middle class, and but she didn't manifest her way into the life that she got. And so there was always a little bit of thread still dangling, hanging in that previous life. I'm not sure. I'm making it up, and they're gross generalizations. I don't want to minimize anybody's pain. I know she was in pain, but what she did was pass it on.
I feel like manifestation is about rising above whatever circumstance. Like if you get in a car accident, this theory would say rise above the terror of that experience and still be happy. Be like she says, our expanded self vibrates in a frequency we would call pure, unadulterated ecstasy. So it's like you can choose to, even if you got in an accident, be like, life is so beautiful. God made this car. God made accidents. Like, well, like I don't know what that
Yeah,
would look like. I don't think you can instantaneously do it. You have to kind of like get your chakras back spinning, But it's like you can spin and be open valve, as she calls it, through the trials and tribulations of life. But it is a
yeah,
rise above, overcome kind of framework.
yeah. Your initial thought could be, wow, I'm still alive. That would be the positive energy. You would say, wow, I'm still alive,
Yeah.
which is great.
Like she says, nothing can ever harm us if we have this way of thinking. And it's like, okay, so a rape or a car accident those are harmful things. But it depends on how we look at them, how much they harm us, I guess. Would you guys agree with that? Or
Well,
Yes. Go ahead, Jay-Z.
Well, I think there's the part that she said along with that that stuck out to me was when she said you can always judge the degree of your connection to source energy by the degree of destruction by the of these negative events to like your house or your body or your car or whatever. Which implies that like there is some connection to source energy, right? And that we uh if these things don't kill us, then like they don't need to bring us all the way down either, right? And um that we can always think like I think we were talking about the other day, like, oh, maybe, I got in this car accident, but maybe that prevented me from being on the street 10 minutes later when I would have gotten smashed by a semi.
That's right.
Like we don't know. There's no control group, right? So like seeing the good side and having the attitude that like nothing is more important than my feeling good.
I don't know why I keep going back to Magic the Gathering. I don't think you've ever played at Lumiere, but Jay-Z and I have played Magic on Twitch. And like Magic is a battle game where it's like you get hit like on every turn. Like they'll be like, now there's like a demon hitting you. Now there's a vampire. Now a turtle's biting you. Like what? Like every turn you're like getting attacked basically. And it's like I learned from that game, and it took me 8 years of playing to really like internalize this that if the world attacks you, just freaking attack it right back. Like turtle attacks you, you're like, nope. Either you negate that attack with a negate spell, which is you're like block turtle, or it's like shield turtle, smash turtle, bite the turtle. Like there's like a million ways to attack a turtle back or whatever. Or like you get like, but it's like there's something to be said for like resilience training in life. And it's like I learned a
Mm.
lot of that from Magic, of like conceptual resilience. It's just like there's always it's like life is a dance. If something attacked me, I would just like stand right back up and be like, I got you. I don't know. I think there's something resilient about being a manifester that you're
Yeah.
just not gonna sit down and cry about everything. You know,
No.
Or you take a few
Right.
points and you're like, I'm gonna win this game anyway, because bam.
Is it Magic the Gathering Arena?
oh, that's the computer version.
Oh. So you play it live?
Oh yeah, we play it.
Oh.
With cards. It's with cards.
In physical cards. This
Mhm.
has cards. They're not physical.
It's the
Okay.
most amazing game on the planet, in my humble opinion.
I'll check it out. I play Genshin Impact.
Okay, we'll have to teach you how to play. It's kind of
Yeah.
complex.
No, I agree with you, Andy. It's
So I want to ask you guys a question. Okay, so here she says big robbery in your home, big sickness, big tornado, big closed valve. And I was like, okay, I want to know what you guys think it would look like to go through these things with an open valve, like an open heart chakra. So if someone robs your home and you keep an open heart, what does that look like?
Oh, or they would have not robbed your house, but they would have robbed the neighbors. Or they
where,
didn't find your actual valuables.
right.
Or the insurance covered it all anyway.
I didn't
My
like that
boat,
stamp
my boat
collection anyway.
sank, and then the insurance covered it.
Yeah.
It's like, my boat sank. It would have been really hard to sell it anyway.
Well, I got hit in my other car. I got hit because I had a Black Lives Matter poster. Tell you guys this already? So it's my old Hyundai. It was a 2009 and it was a great car. And Remy and I had a very close relationship. But he cried when they towed it away. But I got hit. and it had gotten old and it was starting to nickel and dime me a little bit, and but it was still very good and I liked it. But they totaled it against my wishes because the lower rocker panel underneath the driver's side door was damaged, and they wanted. Well, I came out smelling like a rose because they gave me more money than I could have gotten if I traded it in. And I got a car that was more suited to my, say, my physical self than the other one was. And it was a find. It had very few miles on it. It was pretty old, but it was newer than the other one. And so that thing turned out to be great for me. So
So do you guys think it's then seeing all the positives that come from a hard thing? Is that what an open valve response is?
yeah,
Like, I'm glad they took all my jewels because now I don't have to clear my clutter.
that's
Yes.
right. That's right. You could put signs when you go out that say, take these.
I
I
like to
didn't want that
have a
stamp
sign that just
collecting
says
anyway.
no stealing.
That's right, no stealing.
I
There's
crossed.
juice in the there's juice in the fridge and jewels in the first drawer.
She says when your valve is open, you make a decision to be in joy with life no matter what.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I had another one that I wrote down as a band name t-shirt meme phrase, vibrational joy.
Interesting. That's kind of kinky. No, I don't know.
it is kind of kinky. I see people with glockenspiels and auto harps.
There you go. I like the G-rated version. We're at school here. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Guess
That's
we're
right.
at adult school.
But they're all naked with stuff painted on their bodies.
Yeah, like I wanted to make this t-shirt called Vibe Rider, but in my mind I was like, we're riding the vibes of the planets, but like my producer was like, hell no. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
The vibrator.
Jeez.
Riding the vibe.
So this is an interesting one. Am I talking too much? Sorry.
No. Am I?
No, not at all.
Okay, so this one was interesting about the prejudice section. She said, persistent attention to injustices attracts more of the same. And I actually have an example of this that I wanted to bring up. Okay. So when I worked at the Portland School of Astrology, bless their hearts, I love those people. And though we were just young teachers, just being young, okay. So my co-teacher wrote her thesis on pagan racism in pagan communities. And I've talked about this several times, so sorry if I'm like talking your ear off about it, but I'm still traumatized by it. So she was just like racism, 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 like constantly talking about racism, right? And from a manifestor's perspective, she was manifesting racism. Like,
Racism.
is re what I really think, because my students, I think, when I left, they're like, "You racist." They called me a racist, which is not what now why we are doing this show, Intersections of Race and Astrology, because that's a reparation of being called a racist. Because I was like, well, I'm not going to manifest racism. I'm going to manifest intersections of astrology and race. And so that was actually a manifestation flip because there was a persistent attention to injustice, which was creating more injustice, I felt. So that's an
Hmm.
example. I actually saw that in real life. So what do you guys
But
think of that?
but you went through it saying I'm going to manifest something different than what everyone's seeing, right?
Well, like at the time, I couldn't get out of it because they were manifesting so much racism that everyone was a racist. Like, you know what I mean? And they wanted me to do the thing where I admit I'm a racist, so I could, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm autistic and I literally can't tell a lie. I'm not racist. Like I'm an astrological extremist. Like I think if I have a bad composite chart with someone with a different race, I might not like them, but that has nothing to do with their skin color. It has to do with our auras mixing. Like I don't know, like I just couldn't do the like thing where I admitted I was a racist when I know that's like a thing people do to fight
Yeah.
racism, but like my autistic self couldn't tell that lie because I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that one. But like I don't know, like I just felt like the perseveration on it made more of it. But like we talked about in the Course in Miracles yesterday, you have to identify the problem to solve it, right? Like I'm glad
Right.
they identified the problem of racism in astrology community so we can go about solving it through the Intersections of Race and Astrology show. Like, but it wasn't being solved with the perseveration of it. Like I feel like you need to identify an injustice and then go about manifesting a better life, not stay in the problem.
Right. And we talked yesterday a little bit about people being happy, or not happy, but comfortable in their problem. And that seems what this is what you're talking about. The problem of seeing racism everywhere brought more racism on. And they, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they also were comfortable arguing about this, what they knew. And
Well,
so
it's
they
funny
didn't,
because in the larger
they were,
scope of astrology education, maybe that was identifying the problem, and it took a whole school to identify the problem and really hone in on it. So I was just caught in the moment there, and over
mm-hmm.
the duration of our lives, that will be there'll be all these reparations that come from that. So it might have been perfect in its own form. I'm not. But in the moment, I just felt like it was a perseveration on the problem and not getting. But I didn't have the tools to solve it. I didn't know enough. I didn't know what I know now, and like you know what I mean. Um,
Well, I think that if you I mean, the premise here is that we believe that this manifestation stuff works, right? And also that the technique for creating things or co-creating things is really feeling them, then of course it would stand to reason that, people who are like really feeling intense feelings about racism and injustice and prejudice and systemic injustice are really like manifesting that. I don't know if they're manifesting more of it, but they're attracting that in the bubble that directly surrounds them in life.
well, okay, so we deal with a similar philosophical struggle when we have charts of little kids who are really violent, like, or really morbid. Like, we'll have charts of kids that have like 6 planets in Scorpio, and they'll dream about skulls and knives and like zombies and stuff, and they do, like dream about it a lot. And there's always the question of do we let them express it, or how do we deal with this like really dark chart? Because like you could have a horror producer who's a 6-year-old. You know what I mean? Like they're going to grow up to be like Stephen King, which is an artist, but when you're 6, you're not supposed to be into horror. That's just not
Right.
society. So, we learn, I kind of theorized out of a purge effect where you let them purge the problem or the dark stuff, you let them purge it in drawings or writings or whatever. But you don't like make an album out of it and make a kids book out of it and print a bunch of them. You don't like print their purge and manifest more of it. You let them purge it and then get back to baseline, purge and get back to baseline. But we don't manifest more of that. Does that make sense? Like, whereas if you're an adult and you want to write horror books, you're manifest. If you dream horror stories, you're gonna manifest more. I was just reading Marilyn Manson. He wrote a horror story. It horrified me actually, and I was like, whoa! But he's like a horror artist kind of, and it's like he's choosing to like society has decided they want replication of that problem, the horror problem. Because I don't know why, but like with kids, we got to purge and like not manifest more of it because that would be feeding back to the kid more horror. You know what I mean? I don't know. We deal with this a lot, actually.
In astrology, really?
Oh
You
yeah,
mean you,
we have
people
we
do a
have
lot of their
problematic
kids'
charts
charts?
all the time. What?
Oh, people do their kids' charts a lot?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I get I get the hardest problems that none of the therapists can figure out, and like they come to the astrology usually at the end of the line. But yeah.
I know I've done Remy's, but still, usually in tandem with mine. Well, I think that, a repression of a thing makes the kid want it more. I mean, that's pretty true in anything. Like, can't have this lollipop. They just want it more. So, and I have to say, so here's the thing. Remy has a little problem with my son with lactose. So I didn't, at some point, I just stopped saying, well, you don't eat ice cream, don't eat ice cream, don't eat milk, don't drink milk, don't have a milkshake. But he got used to the idea that if he did this, he was going to feel bad. And so he stopped. So once in a while for a treat, I'll get him a milkshake, but he will only drink this much of it. I think you can't really repress it in a kid. And with dark stuff, which is also part of him, I didn't put the kibosh on it, but I didn't get him a chainsaw.
Well, and maybe this is a similar with the persistent attention to injustices attracts the same. Like identifying an injustice and then manifesting the repair is what we want to do. We don't want to perseverate on the problem. Is that kind of what we're learning here?
Yes.
Yeah, well, and then there in this section, or maybe a different section, I don't know, but it seems relevant here, is that she was saying you don't need to be against something else to be for something. Like, you don't have to spend all your time being against injustice and battling injustice everywhere you see it and seeing it everywhere and battling it and having that be your life. If really that's your don't want. What you want is people treating each other equally and there being peace and harmony. So instead of being spending all your energy being against injustice, spend your energy being for harmony and equality and envision a world in which it actually is like that. And then you will notice all of the like, oh, that was harmonious. Oh, that was equal. Oh, that was so cute, those kittens cuddling. Like, and the duck that came over in the kitty bed and they both snuggled together. Like you notice the harmonious things and you forget about making more of the injustice.
I love that formula. That's something I'm really learning. We
Yeah.
did the Intersections of Race and Astrology series. On the first episode, we said, is astrology racist? So we identified the problem, and then literally right away, we just moved forward to intersections. So like we just all of a sudden started building in fairies and roses. So yeah, I think we hit the right note there.
Berries and roses. There.
Yeah. This pissed me off when she was talking about starving children in Africa and stuff. She said that these kids have picked up the negative vibrations from their folks well before they were born. Those vibrations stay with them and grow in direct relation to the vibrations of the adults raising them until the youngsters are old enough to decide they no longer want unpleasant experiences. These children have become victims by default. Do you think that, what do you guys think of that?
All right.
That
Well,
pissed me off too.
yes, and I think that any middle class white lady in America talking about starving children in Africa is like at face ridiculous and misinformed.
Yes. Yes.
It's like a
I agree.
cultural bias and it's a class bias and it's like it has everything against it that she even brought that up as her like token case.
Yeah. She's blaming them for not having the privilege she has.
Yeah, I call bogus on
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Two thumbs down.
In the game of appealing or appalling, that was appalling.
Oh,
Appealing and appalling. That's great.
Oh my God. But the teens section was interesting about, us manifesting around our teens. I do believe this, that we do create the mental landscape that our teens are living in. I have a teenager right now, and it's like, if I manifest negative things in my talking, she's going to pick that up and manifest that in her life. I do agree with that.
I agree with that too. I agree. I think, well, I had to read all through Remy, my kid's life, both of them. I had to stop thinking about, yeah, and start thinking about what will make this better. What could I possibly do and or say that will make this better? And so I feel like that has helped me, and hopefully it's helped them. My therapist says it has helped me, but helped them. But she's not here every day, so I don't know. But it'd be great if you had an onboard a therapist in your closet.
If they
Just
were
open.
if they were a manifester.
Yeah, you could just open the closet and say, "So tell me about this," and then close the closet. Um, but yeah, I
This is
think
the same
that
being a teacher. It's like we're providing the mental landscape for our students, and that's what this show is about, is like we're literally making a mental landscape for the students at the Moira Press school. And this extends beyond the school, but like I feel like we're teaching the students to think in this way of like turn it around. Come on, let's keep moving forward. Let's grow like hardy trees, and we're doing a good thing here.
yeah, I think you're thinking about what they can take with them. As you know, I worked in K to 12 for a while, and I was always thinking about year 13. What will they have at year 13? What can they take with them at year 13? It sounds like that's what you're doing too. When they leave you, what will they have?
Well, astrology is manifestation theory. It's just an ancient manifestation theory, and it's like it's mega manifestation theory, where you're supposed to manifest your chart one transit at a time and keep growing into yourself like the fullest version. So, us doing this kind of just general manifestation studies is providing the landscape for those people to mega manifest through their charts. I mean, like, this is actually quite profound. Um, now I'm on to the gang wars. I love how she addressed like everything.
Yeah,
Also, the same comment that I just made about starving children in Africa, I think applies to her thoughts on gang wars.
yeah. I thought so. When have you seen a gang war?
Made me think of this band name, Gang of Angels. Like I want to be in. I want to like. uh, It depends on what your gang is.
It depends on what you could make a band name out of her title by truncating it and calling it Global Gang Wars.
Wait, what's the opposite of wars? Gang dances? Gang
Global
Oh,
songs?
that's
Gang
cool.
Global Gang Polkas.
Global Gang what?
Polkas.
Yeah, that's so good. I love band names because like they conjure a picture, and it's like you really have to do it. Be careful when you name your band because you're gonna conjure all these pictures about
A
yourself.
polka band called Global Gang Polkas would be great. They only play polkas.
Angel Gang Polka.
Angel Gang.
Okay.
Gang potlucks.
Gang potlucks. Potlatch.
Bringing. What dish are you bringing to the gang
Yeah, what
pot?
thing? I'm bringing positive energy in a bowl. What's it to you? I mean, the overall. I mean, we're picking nits about some of the ways she expressed this, but the um her overall ideas are solid. I just think that she got lost in the bog,
Well, she's
and
addressing she's really trying to get us through the hardest parts of life from this positive Pollyanna thing we're trying to do here.
yeah. Well, I couldn't tell if she was trying to find a way to manifest a world that's what we want, or she was trying to make us feel better. I felt sometimes she was trying to make us feel better, and I'm not. I don't like that.
Well, this is an interesting concept. This is probably the last concept I have underlined in this chapter, which is closed valve versus open valve is connected versus disconnected. So, you know how they say like the opposite of addiction is connection? Like I do find that when we keep our valve open through whatever it is, let's say we get in a car accident and we have an open valve. We like call all our friends and tell them about it, and they're like, I love you so much. And like you're just like, and they're like looking at all the positives and all these friends, and you're connected and you're like open about it, right? Whereas you could also have that same experience and be all closed and like, woe is me. I'm so like, I'm a horrible person for getting in a car accident. Woe is me. It's like, I think the lesson here is whatever is going on in your life, being open-hearted about it, connecting with people through it, growing through it. And like, that would be, I think, the larger lesson of this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you got on your list? Oh, go, Jeezy.
Well, I'm gonna say that in the suit of divine armor.
Yeah. Dude, I want to see you in your divine armor on the album cover of Divine Verdict.
Ooh, I want a suit of divine armor. I want it to be gold.
Ooh,
A
that's
golden suit of divine armor. Like
Golden
a
suit of divine
breastplate.
armor.
Yeah, breastplate.
Yeah.
Maybe a kind of a reddish cape.
ooh,
Maybe like a purple stone in the middle.
damn.
Yeah, that would be a nice suit of divine armor.
I want to see some drawings of this.
Hmm.
Do you have anything on your notes? Anything else?
Oh, we pretty much got through all of the things that I wrote about it too. Vibrational joy.
Vibrational. Good. In her last paragraph in this chapter, she says, "Then you know from the very depths of your being that everything really is all right." And I think that's wrong. I think what we know is that everything will be all. Gotta be all right.
You got to move through the pinch points and just get back to being all right, you know?
Yeah, everything will be all right.
Hmm. Yeah.
The only other thing that I was wondering, right, was back at the part when she was saying like you can always judge the degree of your connection to source energy by the degree of destruction caused by the negative event.
Mm-hmm.
Is then do we rate not just ourselves but others but in this way for possible inclusion in our life? Like it gets back to the like um do I need to surround myself with negative people, and can I judge how negative they are by the way that they react to the negative things that happen in their life? And then is it moral or immoral to only want to surround yourself with happy, joyful people?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think the next time you have a date, just spill their drink on them and see how they react.
Well, it makes me think about the term choicery, which is when you live in the choiceorium, like it's your choice of do you want to hang out and drag people up as you're growing, or do you want to? It makes me think back to the parable of the two oxen yoked together. Where if you yoke one huge, strong, manifesting oxen to a small, negative, tiny baby oxen of woe is me, then what happens when they're trying to plow the field?
They go around in circles.
Yeah, and the big one has to
But
drag the small one all the way around. Like
the big one may
I
teach.
literally am not yoking I'm not pairing up with non-manifest. I mean, I'm getting old and it's like I wanna go far in life. It's like I want people to come with me, but I don't want to be dragging people around, you know?
No, but if you got a step up on the manifestation ladder, that you're obligated to put your hand down and help the next person up, aren't you?
Depends how
Are
hot
you?
they are.
Who
No,
said
I'm
that?
just kidding.
What did you say, JC?
I said, are you? Who said that you are?
Well, I mean, in anything, if we're higher on the ladder than the person we're with, then our obligation is to reach down and get them to where we are.
It
So
depends on
I don't
what
want to be
you're doing.
around
Like,
negative people too.
well, when you're running a TV station and you're trying to, like, I always deal with this with like artists who are like, I'm shy, I don't want to be on camera, all stuff. I'm like, can I get a narcissist back here? Like, where are the nurses going, guys? Like,
Didn't
I
have
don't
any
have
trouble
time
doing
for
that.
this. Like, I actually don't have time to be pulling people up. It's like we got a business to run. It's not even a business. It's like the show must go on. You know what I mean? So it's like it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be a teacher to then that's one thing. But if you're trying to just do your job, like I don't know.
I mean, yeah. With dating, let's take dating because it's a very simple, real thing. You go someplace, you go to Emilio's on the Columbia and have dinner, and the person says, "Yeah, traffic was awful getting here." And, my boss is in my face all day. That'll be the last date you have. You don't really want to date that person again.
I mean, I might give them if I really like everything else about them, I might give them the excuse me, your life is waiting and see what they do with it in a week.
Man, you're a mess. Here, take this.
Or be like, you need to watch these videos. I mean, I don't know. It depends how teachable they are. I don't know. It all depends. What do you think, Jay-Z?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on like it just comes down to it's got to be win-win. It's
Yeah,
got
like
to be
maybe they're winning in some other way. And so you're winning in manifestation and they're winning because I don't know.
Very
So,
Stephen Covey.
oh yeah, 7 habits, baby. We live by that. All right, you guys. Good job.
All
It was
right.
fun.
We
It
manifested
was
another amazing episode.
We did.
That's manifest. I think there are one or two more chapters left in this.
There's one more
Yeah.
chapter, and then we are going on to real magic, creating miracles in everyday life.
I should get that out of the library. Dr. Wayne, I do know him. I've read something of his. Real magic. Okay. Is this related to your game?
No.
I'm
Oh
kidding.
my God, we are going to teach you how to play magic. I want to see you play magic because your stylized way of talking, it would just be so funny to hear you table talk.
Oh, that'll be
Okay.
fun. We should all play Magic together. That'd be good.
Yeah.
And you just get on video and hold the cards up like this and
Yeah, we all
well,
play with our own deck and we zoom.
Yeah. You might have to get a different webcam for that.
I might. I might.
Well, the first thing
Well,
we can do is send you a deck and just play with you by talking about the cards. That's what we'll do first, because that's its own game.
I
Yeah.
can get a deck. Where should I go? To a game
Let
joint?
me send you some cards.
Let me
But
send you
feel free
some
to go
cards.
buy yourself a deck. There's m millions of decks in the world.
Okay. But send me a picture of the kind of deck you to have. And then I'll try and get the same kind of deck.
Well, how do we explain that? Every deck's different. Like there's angel decks, demon decks.
I know that's why I want whatever decks you're using. The two of
Yeah,
you are
there are
using.
different like color bases too, like there are different kind of categories. Let Andy actually send you just receive the gift. Let
Okay.
Andy give
I'm
you a
gonna
deck.
put it on my list to send you a pack of magic cards.
That'd be great. I'm I'm manifesting magic cards. That's great.
There you go.
Yeah, you were wanting some magic, so here we go.
And here comes the magic.
It's very Scorpio, the game. You'll like it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right, you guys, I love you. My
Have a
All
door
great
is
right,
night.
till
open to
next
you
time.
anytime. All right. Bye.
Bye.